I don't think we know a motive, we don't know a reason, we don't even know what opportunity existed for this individual to come into the life of Sherry Black.
Tonight, more questions continue to linger after a break in the decade-long cold case of Sherry Black. We talk with the former chief of Salt Lake City Police about the investigation.
A poll finds Utah voters are split on the issue of face coverings. I'm John Franke in Capitol Hill. I'll explain where this division lies.
It's bigger than what we thought it would be, and it just keeps on going. It's great.
And Utah's LGBTQ plus community not letting the pandemic stop them from showcasing their pride. Fox 13 takes you to the first ever Utah Pride Road Rally.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Schnee. Keep an eye on your mailbox this week. Mail-in ballots for the upcoming presidential election will be sent beginning on Tuesday. Fox 13's Haley Higgins joins us live tonight. Haley, what should people expect?
Well, Brian, 1.6 million registered voters will automatically get their ballots beginning on Tuesday. Now, this is expected to be the largest election ever held in the state, with so many people voting, and 29 counties will begin sending their ballots this week. For the first time ever, Alpine retiree Jim Robinson will fill out a ballot for the U.S. president at home.
I can't wait till I get here.
The ballot will reach his mailbox in just a few days.
And I pretty much know in my mind, you know, where I'm going to vote, but I'm going to do some research. My wife and I are going to do some research.
That's one of the benefits of mail-in voting, according to Utah Election Director Jason Lee, who says Utah's successful vote-by-mail system goes back to 2012.
We've been doing this for so many years. This isn't new for us here in Utah. So we've worked out the speed bumps. We worked through the kinks, that kind of thing over the years.
Once ballots are filled out, Lee encourages voters to drop them off at a designated location or in the mail as soon as possible. That way, any questions about validating signatures will be addressed before Election Day. And while most mail-in ballots will be processed ahead of time, they won't be counted until the polls open on November 3rd.
There's just been so much discussion this year about vote by mail and are there problems with it? Are there not problems with it? We don't really have those problems here in Utah. But once they get that ballot, I think they'll just feel comforted that they can finally do something about this election.
Here's some important dates to remember. Voter registration cutoff is October 23rd. If you mail in a ballot, it must be postmarked by Monday, November 2nd, and ballots can be dropped off at a polling location or a designated drop box up until 8 p.m. on Election Day.
Look to the future and say, where can we make a difference? And who do we feel can make a difference?
Now, while available for everyone, in-person voting is really encouraged for people with special circumstances this year because of the pandemic. Now, Lee says special circumstances mean people who didn't receive a ballot, if they lost their ballot, or if they have a disability like ADA and need some extra help. So we have all of the information that you need for this upcoming election. It's a big one. It's on fox13now.com. Reporting live in Salt Lake City tonight, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Haley, thank you. Tomorrow, the two candidates in the highly publicized race for Utah's 4th congressional district seat will square off in a debate. The race between Democratic Congressman Ben McAdams and Republican Burgess Owens has been heated for weeks now, with plenty of political ads taking up a lot of TV time. Now, if you want to watch the debate, it will be airing tomorrow at 6 p.m. on our substation Antenna TV, which you can find on channel 13.2 over the air. The debate will also be streamed live on our website, fox13now.com, and on the Fox 13 News Facebook page. Also happening tomorrow, the confirmation hearings for Judge Amy Coney Barrett begin. President Donald Trump's Supreme Court Justice nominee will be grilled by the Senate Judiciary Committee. Democrats are calling for delays in the hearing to fill the vacancy until after the election. Now, the hearing comes just 10 days after Utah Senator Mike Lee and another Republican member of the Senate Judiciary Committee tested positive for the coronavirus. But Republicans are vowing to move forward.
I think they are looking for anything to delay things even a day or two or three. And I think that Senate Republicans will follow the guidance, the medical guidance of the Capitol physician.
New York Senator Chuck Schumer demanded Judge Barrett recuse herself from certain cases if she's confirmed to the high court. Now, the confirmation hearings are scheduled to last through Thursday. Former Salt Lake City Police Chief Chris Burbank is giving some insight into the arrest of a suspect identified in the former cold case murder of Sherry Black. Now, yesterday, Unified Police arrested 29-year-old Adam Durborough in connection with Black's murder. She was beaten and stabbed to death in November of 2010 in South Salt Lake. And until yesterday, her case had gone cold. Now, Burbank says his department worked with South Salt Lake police on the case. He thinks it took so long to make an arrest because there was a lack of evidence.
Normally, as you put together an investigation, you start to piece out who was here, who may have seen, and that sort of thing. And it can be video evidence or even just physical evidence that exists, but very little of that was available at the time.
According to a probable cause for arrest, DNA was collected from Durborough last week, which came back to match DNA evidence collected from the murder scene in 2010. Police say the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office will screen the case this week. Utah seeing 1,200 new positive COVID-19 cases today, bringing the state up to 85,844 total confirmed cases of the virus. The state is averaging 1,161 positive tests per day over the past week, with a positive test percentage of 13.9%. The deaths of 7 Utah men, all older than 45, were reported today. They were from Cache, Davis, Salt Lake, Tooele, and Washington counties. Our statewide death toll from COVID-19 is now at 517. With the election ending in about 3 weeks, one local group is looking at the issues voters say are the most concerning. Not surprisingly, the COVID-19 pandemic dominates that list. Fox 13's John Franke explains where Utahns stand and what the data shows.
Healthcare, government spending, education, the economy, and the pandemic itself. These are the top 5 issues Utah Foundation says voters are most concerned about as they return their ballots.
We have 2 main survey questions that really kind of shed some light on the issues and how people feel about this.
Those 2 questions are simple. Number 1, has Utah been too cautious in reopening its economy? And number 2, has Utah been too quick to reopen?
56% of the people responded. This is early July. They responded that we opened it back up too quickly. The other 44% said we were too cautious.
The data finds the difference is split down party lines. 82% of those who identify as strongly conservative believe the state was too cautious when reopening, but 93% of strong liberals believe the reopening process was too quick. The survey of 780 people also found division on the issue of face coverings. 97% of moderate liberals support a statewide or business mandate to wear masks. About half of moderate conservatives support those mandates. Instead, 40% believe face coverings should be encouraged without a mandate.
And if you look at people who do wear masks, over half of them, about 6 in 10 people say we do it to protect ourselves and the people around us.
Just 8% of all respondents said masks should not be encouraged at all. Even that small group has differing opinions.
They're expressing their rights, and they don't feel that even if there is a law that they should be required to wear them. But also, people say that they're uncomfortable. People say that they don't think it's going to help.
Utah Foundation plans to release more data ahead of the election. They do this for 2 reasons. 1 is to give voters all of the facts, and 2 is to allow policymakers to know what's on the minds of voters and what is concerning them the most. You can find all that data on our website. On Capitol Hill, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Happening now, authorities in southern Utah are searching for a woman who went missing in Zion National Park last week. Park rangers, along with Washington County Sheriff's deputies, are looking for this woman. It's 38-year-old Holly Suzanne Courtier. Since our initial update last night, we've learned she may be wearing the following items that you see on your screen. You can also find this list on our website. Courtier was last seen on Tuesday after a private shuttle dropped her off in Zion. She was scheduled to be picked up later that afternoon, but she never came back. She's 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighs about 100 pounds. She has brown hair and blue eyes. If you can help rangers find her, call the National Park Service's investigative tip line. Box Elder County deputies need your help to solve a suspicious animal death. The owners of this range bull say it was valued at about $7,000. The owners found the bull dead on the east side of Ingham Pass Drive on September 30th. The bull was last seen alive on the 24th. If you have a tip that could help solve this case, call the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office. The Provo Police Department is recognizing some heroic acts from some officers on their force. Break it. The department presented the Medal of Valor to the officers you'll see in this body camera footage, who on Thanksgiving morning last year responded to a structure fire at a condo complex. Sergeant Webb and officers Newell, Malmgren, Fernandez, Laking, and Felsing entered the burning building to make sure everyone got out safely. Well, let's talk about some weather now. While we only saw a little bit of rain in the Salt Lake Valley, the canyon saw the return of this. That's a light blanket of snow. Here's a look at a time lapse of the Albion Basin. Will we see snow like this anytime soon? Well, Breck joining us now from the Weather Center with our first alert forecast with some sort of answer to this. It seems as though we're shifting in a different direction now.
Well, we'd like to move into a storm cycle where it's been just such a dry summer leading in the first part of fall. This storm helping out just a bit where we saw the precipitation over the past 24 hours, mainly across northern Utah. Let me show you some of the totals where as we look north of I-80, yeah, decent amount. 1/4 of an inch or more as you look from Logan through Morgan. Evanston about 1/4 of an inch. Bountiful Bench in that same range. Ogden about 1/10 of an inch. Now mountains picking up some snow anywhere between 1 to 2 inches. Brighton coming in with 2 inches. So it's this time of year that we begin to see those snow levels drop, keeping it away from the valleys and the benches, but priming the pump to bring in more snow on storms to help out, yes, the drought situation across the state. This cold front, though, making its mark, bringing in the cooler air. Now, I'm showing you the official highs for today, but some of these temperatures were experienced just after midnight. We were still in the 60s along the Wasatch Front, but throughout the afternoon, which typically we experience our afternoon highs, as we found temperatures only in the 50s to low 60s, so it was definitely cooler across the state. And as we look right now, 40s, even 30s. Bear Lake here at 38 degrees, 51 in Ogden. We've got low 30s in Park City, upper 40s in Provo. Turning towards central Utah, 40s and 50s as well. It's going to be a clear and cool night, but we're warming things up. But another cold front on the way. Will it bring additional rain? I'll let you know coming up.
I'm pretty sure that Sim didn't check out my Facebook page before doing any sort of investigation.
Clearly, there has to be some kind of sanction.
Still ahead, a Salt Lake City councilwoman under fire over comments she made relating to the Bernardo Palacios shooting. What's happening now in this update from the Fox 13 Investigates team?
What we know is the status quo is not sustainable.
Is there a traffic solution for one of Utah's busiest canyon roads? Fox 13 News takes an in-depth look in the first installment of our new 360 series coming up. And a much-anticipated celebration finally happened. We'll show you how the Utah Pride Center was able to pull off a safe Pride rally. We'll be right back. Today is National Coming Out Day, and to show support, cars lined the street in downtown Salt Lake City in a socially distant celebration that replaced the usually massive Pride Parade that takes place every June. Fox 13's Diego Romo shows us how the Utah Pride Center didn't let the pandemic cancel their celebrations.
People are in their cars, they brought their dogs, they brought their family pods, and everybody's safe, but they can see each other.
Hundreds of cars covered in pride flags and decorations passed by throughout the day, and the Pride Center says they're overwhelmed with the turnout.
It's bigger than what we thought it would be, and it just keeps on going. It's great.
The event coinciding with National Coming Out Day is very meaningful for Savannah Schuyler.
Coming out is a huge part of my story.
When she was 12, Savannah came out as lesbian in front of her church's congregation.
While I was coming out, they turned off my microphone. I felt very crushed. I didn't feel loved. I felt like I lost a family.
Events like the Road Rally remind her that she is not alone.
I am surrounded by people that make me feel valid, so I feel like it's a very freeing moment.
And amidst all the changes that come with the pandemic, the show of support can go a long way.
It just goes to show that even when something bad like coronavirus brings people apart, like they can still come together and have a good time.
It's so important to see this, even if it's a little bit different than usual. It's very heartwarming.
Everyone I talked to here today said the best part about this event is being able to come out amid the hard times of the pandemic and just show their support for the community. You can find more information about the Utah Pride Center over at fox13now.com. In Salt Lake City, Diego Romo, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, we're in the thick of the fall season, which means we get to see so many gorgeous colors in the fall foliage really pop. Fox 13 photojournalist Taylor Murray takes us to the skies above Mill Creek Canyon with our Skyfox drone in this newest installment of Utah Elevated.
We were driving up and she literally said, it's like a storybook. We want to take advantage of the last couple weeks of fall time before the temperature drops.
We were up here a couple of weeks ago and it did not look as brilliant as this. The leaves have changed dramatically in the last 2 weeks.
It's like a snowfall, but it's fall, it's leaves falling down, and I'm like, let's pull over and capture it. Yellow, pink, peach, it's magical.
It's a 20-minute drive from Salt Lake City. It's so easy and accessible. There's really no reason not to come up here.
You know, you just slow down and you just appreciate your environment, you just appreciate nature.
There is so much going on in the world right now. It's so important to just take those 20 minutes for yourself to calm your mind.
I think she's right. It is pretty calming just to see those colors. And Mill Creek Canyon is not the only place that is experiencing that great pop of red, orange, yellow right now. Where else are people seeing these colors, Brian?
Oh, of course, all across the state. As we've been talking and highlighting over the past couple of weeks, getting that opportunity, you need to take advantage of it because, yeah, these colors are fading fast because it has been so dry. I want to share another photo, not focusing on northern Utah, but turning towards central and southern Utah. This is at Rock Coral Recreational Site. Gary Walker taking this picture just east of Milford. Yeah, still highlighting that there are vibrant, these colors. And as we experience the storm pushing through, actually dropping temperatures more in line where we do find these temperatures during the time of autumn. Of course, last week, for most days, we were in the 80s. That's not going to be the case moving forward. Now, official high for today, 67 degrees. As I mentioned earlier, we hit that in the early morning hours just after midnight. But throughout the day with that cold front, colder air funneling in. Afternoon temperatures were actually in the 50s throughout most of the day. Now the record for this day, 87 degrees. Yeah, say goodbye to the 80s, at least here for the next 7 days. Now temperatures in the 50s, even 40s, as you can see in Provo. Winds fairly light. We've been seeing that cool northwesterly flow. We're going to change the direction, becoming more westerly, and that's going to allow temperatures to, again, be close to average here for the next couple of days. Now, as we look at precipitation day at the airport, just short of 0.2 of an inch, where that had been 18 days since we had seen rain back September 22nd. We got a trace, and we haven't gotten a lot here over the past, of course, few months where it's just every so often we get a storm, bringing the precipitation, then it moves on. And looking long range at Climate Prediction Center, we're looking for 8 to 14 days. This is pushing us towards the last week of October. We're still leaning towards below normal precipitation, especially as we look towards the northern western portions of the state. It looks like maybe potentially eastern Utah finding on average precipitation moving ahead. Yeah, we don't have a lot of strong storms that are going to be tracking through, especially as we move through the work week, where we're going to be looking at dry conditions persisting, which is not good news. You know, when we get these storms coming in, we hope that kind of changes the upper level flow. That jet stream ushering in those storms, getting into that storm cycle, that's not going to be the case here, again, as I mentioned, for this upcoming week. No watches and warnings. We had wind warnings that were in effect. Those have expired. It's clear across the state, maybe a few high clouds rolling through northern Utah, but you're not seeing any activity from radar as those showers from the cold front moving towards the central plains, upper Midwest as well, near the Great Lakes area. Quick mover out of here. Another cold front lining up. It's just going to graze northern Utah. It's the one behind it, which will bring in some cooler air. Looks like potentially Wednesday, Thursday into Friday. but it's also looking dry, just dropping temperatures, and that's its only impact that we're going to see. Now, as we look forward tonight, it's cool. 30s as you look at Logan, upper 20s in Park City. Looks like 30s and 40s through central Utah. 50 degrees in St. George. We just dot the map with the sunshine, keeping it clear, and temperatures warming up. Again, we were in the 50s through the afternoon. Tomorrow looks like upper 60s to low 70s. Again, on average, we should be about 67 degrees in Salt Lake City, so that's where we're tracking for tomorrow. 60s from Vernal through Price, mid 70s in Moab, and still 80s in St. George, where we're on a warming trend. As we look for the Wasatch Front, we go from the 60s to the low 70s, keeping it clear. As we look for the next several days, there's that second cool front hitting Thursday and Friday, but it warms back up into the 70s for the weekend. So yeah, plenty of opportunity with the sunshine to get out and enjoy those fall colors. But again, they're fading fast, so take that opportunity.
It's really a project that serves the ski areas.
Hundreds of millions of dollars are at stake as UDOT looks to remedy canyon traffic. Fox 13 News gives you a deep dive in this issue coming up at 9:30. And the show must go on. We'll show you how the Utah Opera is looking to keep concert goers safe when they see one of their performances. Coming up. It's opening weekend for the Utah Opera, which shut down production more than 6 months ago due to the pandemic, of course. Fox 13's Max Roth shows us how the opera is working to keep performers and patrons safe.
After 6 months of silence, the Utah Opera is back at Capitol Theater for a reimagined 2020-2021 season.
The last 6 months, as you can imagine, have been pretty chaotic. We have reimagined everything.
President and CEO Stephen Brosvik says they have taken an already planned full-scale performance and turned it into one that is safe for everyone on stage and behind the scenes, as well as for the audience in the hall.
We will be seating only about 15% of the seats, so these performances are going to feel very special, very intimate, like we are performing just for you.
All tickets to the performances will be sent through the Utah Opera app, and all audience members will be required to wear a mask from the moment they arrive to the moment they leave the theater.
We're hoping that we're getting people back out of their homes in a safe manner, getting them out to enjoy an evening and try to get back to something that's normal and something that's entertaining and something that can actually change their lives.
And the performances for this year feature a double bill of one-act operas, The Human Voice and Gentleman's Island, that explore the themes of isolation and the need for human connection.
And we are looking at smaller operas. We're looking at more creative ways to do operas that we just cannot mount full scale.
The performances run through October 18th.
Everyone is excited, thrilled, focused, and ready to go.
Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
I actually had a friend fly into Salt Lake and she asked me about the buses and I was like, I have no idea.
So is busing the answer to congested canyon roads? We'll take a look at several sides of this issue in a new Fox 13 series called 360. That's up next. And an update from the Fox 13 investigation team on a complaint against a Salt Lake City councilwoman and her remarks on the Bernardo Palacios shooting.
She's an attorney. She knows better. I think that just shows her immaturity in reference to how the criminal justice system works.
Just taking the oath as an attorney does not strip me of my constitutional right for freedom of speech. So I get to say what I feel and express.
Now to an update on a Fox 13 investigation. Our team has confirmed that the Office of Professional Conduct will not go forward in prosecuting Salt Lake City Councilwoman Amy Fowler in connection to controversial comments in the deadly police shooting of Bernardo Palacios. The president of the Salt Lake City Police Association filed a complaint against Fowler after she made a Facebook post on her personal page expressing her outrage with Palacios' death, saying that she would do everything in her power to ensure that justice would be served. The head of the police union alleged that Fowler, who was also a defense attorney, jeopardized the investigation without knowing all the facts, and that her actions led to death threats being made towards at least one Salt Lake City police officer. But after further review, the Office of Professional Conduct determined there was insufficient evidence to show that Fowler violated their rules. Fowler argues when she made that post, she was just expressing her feelings and thoughts, and she was not acting as an attorney representing any of the parties involved in the Palacios case. At Fox 13, we know many big topics have many perspectives. That's why we're launching a new series of stories we'll call 360. In this first story, we explore the topic of traffic in Utah's canyons, specifically Little Cottonwood Canyon. Here's Fox 13's Todd Tanner.
If you look at the Cottonwood Canyons, they're a focal point for Utah.
But is a focal point reaching a breaking point? In this 360 story, we'll hear from UDOT.
Really, that's what we're looking at, is solutions that will cut down on traffic.
Ski resort managers.
What we know is the status quo is not sustainable.
Whenever the road gets slick, that's when we run into problems.
Hikers.
You could not find a parking spot.
And advocates for wilderness.
I know the idea of tolling is certainly controversial.
First, let's look at the problem. If you've never been stuck in a big traffic jam in Little Cottonwood Canyon, count yourself lucky.
We can have 1 to 2 hour delays as cars slide off the road or have to creep down the canyon based upon the conditions.
Mike Mon is the general manager of Alta Ski Resort, which opened in 1938.
A little over 500,000 people will come here during the winter.
The crowds are steadily increasing.
Snowbird does a similar number.
That's over 1 million winter visitors to the 2 ski resorts up top.
Hey, 249ers, we got a pretty big slide.
Last season, bad weather and avalanches crossing the roadway left people stuck at Snowbird.
We had 300 people a night sleeping on the floor. Those are our employees for 2 nights.
Summer traffic is also heavy. To remedy these problems, UDOT has put forward 3 possible solutions.
Number one, enhanced bus service. This would be UTA buses running as frequently as every 5 minutes.
Number 2 is a lot like the first, but calls for the paving of a new dedicated bus lane.
Where those buses would be using that dedicated bus lane would be during the peak hours.
If either bus option is approved, new concrete structures over the roadway called snow sheds would be built in areas prone to avalanches, allowing buses and cars to pass underneath. The third proposal, a gondola. At 8 miles, it would be the world's longest, taking people from the mouth of the canyon to the resorts up top. Avalanches wouldn't hinder the gondola as it would glide over areas prone to slides.
That's what we're looking at, is solutions that will cut down on traffic and improve mobility.
Public comment session for the 3 proposals has already closed.
We're also studying all of the ideas that people put forward in the public comment period. We've seen 6,500 comments.
UDOT won't say just yet how those 6,500 comments break down, whether one option is proving more popular than others, but as we learned, the managers of Alta and Snowbird are in agreement on what they think is best.
We like the idea of gondola because no matter what's happening on the road or in weather conditions, you can get up and down the canyon.
You could ride up and have the views, and it would be attraction in itself.
They say their combined 1 million visitors simply don't like buses.
About 6% of the visitors that come to Alta use public transportation, and about 40% of those are employees that ride the bus.
We come up the canyon at least once a week, probably.
Summer hiker and winter skier Molly O'Neill.
I almost always drive because I've got an hour or 2 to ski and I've got to get back to work or get back to my kids, and that's just the most convenient thing for me to do.
What would it take to get you on a bus to the resort?
I think super clear information about, where you get on, where you can get off. I actually had a friend fly into Salt Lake and she asked me about the buses and I was like, I have no idea.
Molly says a bus every 5 minutes would help, but she and her sister Katie Whalage would rather ride a gondola.
I think it sounds cool, but I also agree, I think it sounds expensive and time consuming to build.
A gondola like this, the Snowbird Tram, has been here for 50 years. So you have to amortize the cost over a very long period of time.
And to help make it all work,
a parking area could be constructed near the Lakai restaurant.
but not everyone is sold on the idea.
It's really a project that serves the ski areas, and really that gondola only stops at 3 points: the Mouth, Snowbird, and Alta. So if you're going anywhere else in the canyon, the gondola really doesn't do anything for you.
Carl Fisher of the nonprofit Save Our Canyons.
Focusing on Little Cottonwood's doing absolutely nothing for Big Cottonwood, and we think just better busing in all of our canyons could serve multiple uses, multiple trailheads, multiple destinations, and would be more flexible than something that is fixed like a gondola.
Fisher wonders whether tolling might be a better option
It's proven to change behaviors.
to reduce the number of cars on canyon roads.
An occupancy-based toll where if you have 4 or more people in your car, maybe it's free to go up the canyons. But if you have fewer, there's kind of a tiered rate for that toll.
Tolling is not one of the proposals put forth by UDOT at this time, but
We're also studying all of the ideas that people put forward in the public comment period.
a final recommendation from UDOT is expected by the end of the year. Todd Tanner, Fox 13 News, Utah.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and some local leaders fear the pandemic may be trapping victims in a dangerous situation. We're taking a look at the new efforts to save and protect survivors. The COVID-19 pandemic has increased stressors for many people, and state leaders say they're especially worried about people who might be trapped with their abusers during periods of quarantine. Fox 13's Aaron Cox shows us how some organizations are trying to help survivors of domestic violence.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Logan City Mayor Holly Daines is kicking off Domestic Violence Awareness Month by calling attention to a crisis that has intensified due to the coronavirus.
We're here to help people who may be involved in that situation.
We knew originally that we would see an increase in requests for support.
CAPSA Executive Director Jill Anderson says they began preparing for an increase in requests for services in early March.
But we had no idea the level of increase that we were going to see.
CAPSA is a nonprofit domestic violence, sexual violence, and rape recovery center, helping individuals and families escape abuse. Right now, they say they are seeing record requests for services.
We compared March through August of last year to March through August of this year, and our 24-hour crisis line received 112% more calls than what we received the year before.
Anderson says their staffing and systems are set up to handle about 1,200 crisis calls a quarter. Right now, they are handling more than 2,500 crisis calls.
This isn't just local, it's clear across our state.
State Representative Dan Johnson says he and Mayor Daines work together to use money from the CARES Act as well as supplemental grants to support these services.
In the 16 centers actually received a portion of the $1 million that we were able to get in discretionary money to try to help with what the work that CAPSA does, not only here locally, but across the state.
There is no way we could keep up with this demand and support without help from Logan City.
Despite resources being stretched out to keep up with demand of the alarming trend, Mayor Daines says CAPSA has stepped up to save people.
They have risen to the challenge and really helped take care of people that are in abusive situations that have been made worse by quarantining with coronavirus.
Aaron Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, call the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition hotline at 1-800-897-LINK. That's 1-800-897-5465. It's free, confidential, and available 24/7. Up next, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Still to come, we're talking to doctors about the importance of getting screened.
And later in sports, was Saturday's win enough for BYU to move up in the polls, plus NBA Finals Game 6. And the Ute himself, Alex Smith, back on the football field, a miraculous turn of events following that injury 2 years ago. Hear from Smith in a bit.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Fox 13, along with Regence Blue Cross Blue Shield, would like to remind you of the importance of screening. Here's Fox 13's Amy Nay with this week's Healthier Together report.
2020 has certainly been a powerful reminder that we are all in this together. Now is a really good time to encourage your loved ones to schedule their mammogram or schedule one for yourself.
Dr. Amy Kahn, Executive Medical Director with Regence Blue Cross Blue Shield of Utah, says this month helps bring critical recognition to a common cancer that affects so many families.
And in fact, women in the U.S. have a 1 out of 8 chance of developing breast cancer in their lifetime.
And the American Cancer Society estimates 42,000 women will die from breast cancer this year, and men are not immune.
There are some things you can do to lower your risk, and these include maintaining a healthy weight, following a healthy diet, getting regular exercise, and for those who drink alcohol, limiting alcoholic drinks to no more than 1 per day for women and no more than 2 per day for men.
The American Cancer Society recommends women between the ages of 45 and 54 receive an annual mammogram, and women 55 and older schedule one every other year.
Some women may choose to start screening between the ages of 40 and 49, particularly if at greater risk.
Early detection is key, Dr. Kahn says, and screenings are your best option since symptoms aren't usually the reason people find out they have it.
Now, the good news is that most people survive if found and treated early.
For Healthier Together, Amy Nay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, we've seen quite a swing here throughout the weekend. Yesterday, temperatures well above normal, 80 still on the Wasatch Front, and the cold front hit last night. Colder air today, mixture of rain and snow. I want to share this drone footage coming in from Snow Basin highlighting, still beautiful fall colors. Also seeing that dusting of snow up in the higher elevations where, the ski resort's picking up, 1 inch or 2 inches. This was not a big storm, but definitely bringing those temperatures down where right now we're in the low 50s in Salt Lake City. As we project for tomorrow, we're going to be looking at afternoon highs into the 60s, about where we should be for this time of year. Additional benefit from the storm, really pushing away all the smoke. So as you saw outside, visibility, you could see for 50 miles. Air quality is good, should remain good. We're not going to be tracking any snow, not any snow, but smoke here, at least for the next 24, 36 hours. But the flow out of the west could potentially bring in some additional smoke by midweek. So as we're looking then for tonight, we're going to see chilly conditions. Sunny skies, though. We're going to keep it dry. Now, we do have another cool front. Looks like late Wednesday into Thursday. Does that have the possibility of bringing some rain? Well, let's talk about that right now where things are clear. We pushed away the clouds, the moisture as well. As we're looking at clear skies tonight, temperatures thus will be fairly cool, getting down into the 40s again along the Wasatch Front, 30s up in Cache Valley, but just no chance of rain here as we look over the next couple of days where as we do see that westerly flow, high pressure building back in. That warms up the region as temperatures will be climbing above normal once again. Now we're avoiding the 80s that we saw all last week. Cooler air funneling in where we do have this cool front that will just graze portions of northern Utah as we look into Tuesday. The one behind it, though, will be bringing some cooler air coming in from the northwest, but it's lacking in moisture. All it will do is drop temperatures below normal once again, and that's about it. So that next cool front will not have the mark that this recent one did. But for tonight, we're going to be looking at clear conditions. Cool, yes. Looks like overnight lows, at least in Salt Lake City, at 45 degrees. So we'll start off your Monday morning with temperatures in the 40s, climbing into the upper 60s to low 70s as we look along the Wasatch Front, low 60s in Logan. It's sunny all day long, keeping it clear, that high pressure building in, hanging on to the sunshine, and temperatures on the rise. Mid 80s to upper 80s by Tuesday for St. George, then it's low 90s. And then I mentioned that cool front. This will have more of an impact temperature-wise for St. George, as you'll see those temperatures getting back down into the mid 80s. It's going to be dry for the next 7 days. This is the time you want to be in southern Utah, avoiding the heat, enjoying the nice sunny weather, opportunities to do some hiking. You can do it anytime during the day. again, where you're not having to contend with that heat. Now for northern Utah, a nice climb near 70 degrees tomorrow. We're into the 70s on Tuesday. Again, on average, we should be in the mid to upper 60s. That's where we'll find ourselves. A little cooler Thursday and Friday, but for the weekend, yeah, whatever plans that you do have, looks like Mother Nature will be cooperating, and we're getting rid of the rain.
The upset-minded Heat were inspiring in Game 5 to survive another day with the Lakers. The question was, could they do it yet again with another do-or-die in front of them? Back to the NBA Finals, where LeBron and company have been locked inside Disney World for months now, hence the beard. If that's any indication whether James would be locked in, Jimmy Butler with a triple-double in Game 5. Only a dozen tonight, though, his second lowest output all postseason. Not a good sign for Miami. Meanwhile, James building a sizable lead for L.A. Great feed on the skip right here to Alex Caruso. The veteran Rajon Rondo adding 19 off the bench. The Lakers up 28 at the half. The Ute Kyle Kuzma only one field goal Sunday. They didn't need any more than that. Here it is in the third. The King James version later adding an exclamation point to finish with a triple. 28, 14, and 10 for him as he earns his fourth MVP Finals trophy, second only to Michael Jordan. 106-93 the final, though it was never really that close inside the bubble. After a grinded-out win over Texas San Antonio this week, the Cougars neither moved up or down in the new AP poll, remaining at 15th in the country. They did jump a couple spots to 13th in the coaches poll. However, one bright spot for the Cougars against UTSA was the effort of Dax Milne. The Bingham product was Zach Wilson's favorite receiver on Saturday, including surpassing 100 yards for the second time this season. Having dropped games they should have won in the past, winning a different way for once in 2020 was okay by Milne.
Having those games in the back of our head, those haunt us, and I think it just comes down to, like, for me personally, I hate losing more than I love winning. And so when playing teams that everyone expects us to beat or blow out, I think it just comes down to just doing our job and on every single play, and it'll work out. So I'm glad that we were all able to just be mature about this game, and a win's a win.
As for perhaps the greatest quarterback in Ute history, today was a day to celebrate. 693 days ago, Alex Smith's career, by all reasonable measure, appeared to be over. But after a slew of surgeries to not only repair a shattered tibia and fibula, but to preserve his life as well, Smith made the Washington football team's roster this season as a third-string quarterback. And then this week was promoted to the backup role following the demotion of Dwayne Haskins. Hosting the Rams today were Kyle Allen. Made the start for Washington. LA out in front 27 after Jared Goff bends a perfect U for the score. Washington with plenty of time to get back in it, but on third and short, Allen dances to try to get the first down. Watch the lick, though, forcing Allen to the locker room. So guess what? That's right, here comes Smith with the entire football world rooting him on. His first completion in nearly 2 years right here to J.D. McKissick. Alex finishing 9 of 17 for 37 yards. The Rams took this one 30-10, but to even be in this spot, considering the injury, was incredible.
You know, obviously very, very surreal at first. To have it happen as fast as it did was probably almost a blessing. You know, for me, obviously, just after, you know, I knew it once Kyle took that shot that there was a chance of it, and obviously run over, grab my helmet, get ready to roll. So it was kind of nice in that sense, not having to think about it. You just go out there and do it.
And could the Raiders really deliver the Chiefs their first loss since last November? Patrick Mahomes slipping outside the pocket, fires off one of those trademark touchdown throws on the run to Sammy Watkins, 21-10, Kansas City. But Las Vegas would rip-roar all the way back at Arrowhead. Josh Jacobs for the Raider lead to start the fourth, and then this solidified the upset. Mahomes picked by Jeff Heath. What a win for the Silver and Black, 40-32. We're right back.
Check this out. Nevada Highway Patrol sharing these pictures on social media of a trooper's patrol car decked out with all kinds of Halloween decorations. Turns out the trooper's neighbor did this. I wonder if they asked for permission first. Troopers want to remind people to drive with caution this Halloween to keep those trick or treaters safe. I don't think you can drive the vehicle with it looking like that, guys. Thanks for watching Fox 13 News at 9. Quickcast is up next. Sports page after that. We'll see you in a few minutes.